okay. Just as long as you're doing
That's your retirement package. I tell people this all the time. Every time I'm recording somebody, their blooper reel is the blackmail that is my retirement.
Oh, this is blackmail. I want you to know.
Well, happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to our show. This is Support Local Film Colorado, and today we have some interesting news.
Well, if you take I-25 down all the way south, you might find the Pueblo Regional Film Commission. And the reason we're talking about that today is because, it's a regional film office, right? Much in the same way that we have a Denver Film Commission, except this one is, has a little bit more of a local twist. Denver Film tries to cover the whole state, even though they're Denver Film. They really try to spread out and give everyone a chance to have a voice. Pueblo Film Commission localizes. And what's interesting about them, it's not just that they're trying to build a community of filmmakers, but they're also promoting $3 million of incentives for filmmakers.
Really?
Yes, $3 million. So if you live in the Pueblo area, if you are a filmmaker, you should check this out. There's some specific rules. We'll list them right down below in the show notes. But imagine $3 million of local dollars being used for what you love. It's not just for parks. It's not just for roads and highways. It's for art. This is almost like an FDR level project, getting artists to be employed that Pueblo is committing to. And it's funny that, we're in Denver right now and we didn't hear about it because do we ever look at Pueblo? So
Not really.
So Pueblo, here's our promise to you. Hi, my name's Hunter Burns. I love the Colorado State Fair. I grew up every summer in Pueblo. Lots of great memories. So here's what I'm going to promise to you. We will not overlook you. We will not forget about you, and we are excited to see what you come up with. This the $3 million incentive. I hope you build great things. I hope this is a lasting proposition and that you guys really get to work. So when you come out and do something amazing, contact us. We want to hear about it, and we will have you on the show.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, imagine if we had that much money in our pocket, Julie.
If only. Maybe Pueblo's being an example for all the other places in Colorado.
Well, if you have the money and we have a surplus from certain industries and taxes, maybe we can use that to fund education programs. Like Elizabeth has their fantastic film program. It's homegrown. I like homegrown. That means you get local people in and they can tell their stories, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Fort Collins, Denver, Grand Junction. Let's get on it. Let's get going. Let's make something amazing like Pueblo and Elizabeth are doing right today.
Yes.
So
I like that. And that is actually a great transition to our guest today, someone who gets actively involved with government, politics, and knows his things around when it comes to film. Today we have a very special guest named Jordon Spalding. Hello, Jordon.
Hello, everybody. I'd like to take this moment and announce that I'm moving to Pueblo.
You and me both.
Property's pretty cheap down there, so I assume,
That's
think of
a
the
great deal.
investment for you buy a house and then big fish. We're Denver kids, so we can go down there and rock it, right?
That's a
Absolutely.
mentality I've had at exactly one film festival, and then when I walked through the door and I saw who everyone was there, I immediately shed that. I was humbled immediately.
I'm showing my city elitism for sure.
We live in a great town, Jordan. We have a lovely place, but let's remember, people come from all over and do amazing things.
This is actually, I think Colorado and Denver specifically have had several kind of pushes to support film. Colorado was playing around with dancing around bigger incentives in the state. In the mayoral races, the 5th place candidate or whatever was going to bring in huge incentives for filming in Denver. So let's just hope, let's fingers crossed that Pueblo becomes an example. Mm-hmm. They bring in some big dollars. They have some local stuff, and it's not just a brain drain that we always experience here in Colorado, but it's local crews making good stuff that makes it on the national stage. And Denver is going to be oh, I've been caught with my britches down, and they'll bring in some real money up here.
Well, I would love to preempt that because my big thing is I bleed the red, yellow, white, and blue. Really, it's my thing. I really do love Colorado. I love everything about it, and I love all the people, from everywhere from the very tip down all the way down to almost getting into Wyoming. You guys can you guys can shape up. But
You're one of the people who recognizes that the yellow stands for the fields of wheat in our prairie, and it's not
Yes.
just about the mountains.
well, that
I
means
love
that
that.
we have an
New
opportunity
logo.
to plant something, right? With that, let's plant some new seeds and create a new industry.
Yeah.
So
in
speak-
good soil.
Yeah, in
In
good soil.
good soil.
It's okay. It's okay, soil.
And our hope is, well, okay, you're right. Actually,
Not the metaphor. The metaphor is good soil.
The
But the soil itself, it's okay.
yeah. I mean, in the Eastern Plains, they do a great job. But Jordan, let's talk about industry. Let's talk about big money. You're someone who's in that kind of circle because you work for an organization that makes political ads. So you have a very, very, very busy 2022 coming up. When people are shaping up, looking at their ballots, they're getting them mailed to their houses. They have a chance to talk to someone behind the scenes, someone who actually makes these ads. So what's that like?
You're right. Yeah, and it's not just any. I am working for one of the many DC-based consulting firms that is producing ads and media content nationally, and so, yeah, direct all your hate my direction when you're trying to watch TV and there's like 8 back-to-back schlocky political ads. Just think of me when you see those.
So, I mean, here's the thing. It's still an art form. There's really ones that I
Absolutely.
love. There's that classic story of at midnight in West Virginia, Joe Manchin's team from New York are thinking how they could how they can elect a Democrat in West Virginia. What do they think about? Oh, let's let him shoot some stuff with a gun. And now it's created a whole new genre of political ads.
Yes.
And then there's the funny ones where it's like they use the Pan's Labyrinth character with the
Oh my god.
and then they make in the ads, instead of having Mitch McConnell, they have him.
Yes, I saw that. Honestly, this year, I mean, like everyone is tired of what political ads look like,
Yes.
including the consultants and especially the audiences, and also the campaigns themselves are like, we're not going to be one of those people that makes another just like political ads. So there's actually kind of an exciting time to be involved in politics, and everyone's like, we want something new, we want something creative, we want something that's gonna like stick in people's minds and that no one else has done before. So you're seeing kind of like an absolute spread of the craziest ideas, some really bad ideas, some really spectacularly good ideas. We're always on our company Slack, we're sharing kind of like the wildest, the greatest, that I think is a House candidate in Louisiana who's just like smoking a massive blunt.
No, he's the Senate candidate.
Senate candidate.
The
Okay,
Senate
yeah.
candidate. He might be the first black senator from Louisiana.
And there's no way he's gonna make it.
No.
How is that the case? How is he the first black senator from Louisiana?
Well, we won't go into the history of
Yeah.
our beautiful
So I would
states,
I'll
but-
invite you to look at post Reconstruction of the South. But however, Mississippi is the first state to have a black senator. His name was Hyben Gravels, and he served 1 term from Mississippi, and that was during the I believe the Grant administration. However,
Oh wow.
so anyway, moving back from that, enough political historian Hunter. Really though, this is really exciting because you're seeing real characters run for these House candidates. We're seeing people like in Pennsylvania. There's John Fetterman and Mehmet Oz.
Oh man, I just saw a thing on Twitter where they're like a campaign to get Oz into the Hall of Fame in New Jersey to just sort of like cement the fact that he lives in New Jersey. He has like 2 mansions in New Jersey, and he's like running in Pennsylvania. And they're like, you're not from here.
Does he actually have a residence in Pennsylvania?
I don't know. He probably has like a PO box in Pennsylvania.
Oh, is that enough to
Somewhere.
run? I thought you actually had to own
Honestly,
land.
it's by
That's what I
state
thought, too.
for what the rules are. Like if you have to be like in the county or in the state or whatever. So it's probably Pennsylvania's probably pretty flexible.
Well, you get your votes how you get your votes.
Yeah, but Fetterman's killing it out there.
Fetterman's
It's amazing.
killing it. John Fetterman's an interesting candidate, and that's really something we're going to talk about today later in our talk. But seriously, we do have to focus on why someone might do this, why someone might go
Right.
into a career of this, instead of you and me, shooting the bills that we don't like on camera.
Well, also like what it's like what is the production of a political campaign video like? Because I have no idea how to. I mean, I'm bad at politics. So.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll walk you through. Well, first off, Hunter, the reason I got into this is Can you hear that?
Oh, I can hear it.
There it is.
Baby, it's
we came
midterm
back.
money for videographers. Colorado, if you're in Colorado and you don't think you can make money here, it's midterm season, baby.
It's midterm season.
There is a local candidate who needs an ad and they need it quick. You might be cheaper than the other guy. Go talk to them. It's time to go talk to them right now because they might need it and they might have the money. But
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
seriously, Jordan.
But yeah, so yeah, I mean, like originally I started my life in working in politics, and political video was in specifically supporting nonprofit organizations, local nonprofits, and so that feels more like the style of like documentary and like event videography and sort of announcing things and fundraiser campaigns and whatever. And it's a lot more sort of like long form and varied. But now I'm 100% campaign ads, like political campaigns, and so that's like there's like very rigid sort of requirements that you can creatively operate within. But these are all going on broadcast. They're buying in massive networks. These are like 200,000, 500,000, $1.5 million ad buys that these are going up, and we're making 30-second and 15-second spots for them. So that world is kind of a little less freeform than my old nonprofit.
Well, I mean,
workout is doing.
you said that you're trying to like change up the typical, like stereotypical campaign
Yeah.
ad. And I mean, I've seen many, but I kind of get what you're talking. It's like the same thing where they're showing some sort of emotional appeal, and this
Right.
is why you should vote for them, and this is why you shouldn't vote for this person. So, how are you gonna do that?
Well, I gotta say, I like that you brought that up, Julia, because the reason they do that is because it works. And whatever grand idea you have, either as a creative or a campaign communications manager, or as the candidate themselves, or as a consultant, your ideas are wrong. They might be fun, they might be interesting, but polling is the thing that informs what the video is and what we say and what it looks like. And polling always surprises you, and it always has kind of a clear winner. Like, this is a message that people care about. This is what people want to hear. And so, like, even when you look at an ad, even when it's like a sort of like a cookie cutter ad, and you're like, this is stupid, this doesn't affect me, I'm above all of this, it still has an effect on you. It has a measurable, it's all about the metrics, baby. And so, like, even if you watch it and you're like, that was a dumb ad, I'm so above this, it's still, you have the name ID, you know what they stand for, and then when you walk in that polling booth, and if you are like most Americans, you didn't do any research, you're gonna tick the box of the name that you know, of the person that you saw their face advocating for themselves on TV, even if the ad is dumb. So it's very sort of, I mean, in filmmaking, we always talk about, in all filmmaking, we talk about the audience is like the focus, like who's the target, what's the market for this, make something that speaks to the market. Because if you're making something that isn't for anyone, then there's like no point in making it. And like politics is that like distilled down to like the very core of like, we have 30 seconds and this is exactly the information that people have to know. So like what weaponized prime emotional video will like achieve that goal.
And it's amazing to hear that from, someone who, when we talk to you, we see like you're very well informed, you're incredibly, knowledgeable about what these positions are when we talk about politics. But now we're getting into the nitty gritty, and it's really just basing it on how much you can take out somebody's name. That's incredible to me, because really I think that more people are getting more involved with issues, and you see Gen Z voters, and their big thing is that they're getting most of their information from TikTok. So how are you kind of adapting to that?
Right. Well, and to add to that question, Hunter, I can't help but think of, like communism and their propaganda and everything. Where's the line when it comes to like, obviously you got to share accurate information, right?
Do you want to speak to that? You do have to share accurate information, and campaigns are like known for being litigious, and like the IEs around them and whatever. So like, I mean, like weirdly enough, despite what you think, like everything you see and hear in a political ad is like backed up by actual information. Even if they're being a little obtuse about it, you have to have backups, or you were going to be like sued out of existence.
So how is that line though? You can basically walk up to the truth, but you can make ad hominem attacks about somebody else, right?
I mean, you can make conclusions about their character based on something that's there. You can't. You can speak to, oh, they were pulled over for drunk driving. And then you can say, and therefore they're a bad candidate and they're not good for this role and they don't represent the people's interests. But you can't like make up something about their voting record or about anything they've actually done. You can't like insinuate. There's so many of my videos that we make, we have like the captions on, we have like big beautiful text on screen, and it comes back to me because they're like, the lawyers say you got to reword this, you got to add allegedly to the beginning, and it's like all sorts of stuff. So they're very
so interesting.
careful and specific about that. But I will say, Julia, to your point, for years, and even when I was working at the nonprofit on our work Slack channels, my title that I gave myself is chief propagandist. So I stand by that. I believe in that 100%.
Well, I like that title. So, I mean, but you come from the local world. So I'm where you used to be, where I work for Grand Design Inc. So I'm their chief propagandist. And I'm always hyping them up wherever I can, especially on this show. If you got some name idea from just my lips, just
Right there, there we
right
go,
there.
yeah.
But
We got Hunter's
how
plug.
how does that translate to a national candidate? How does that, like, do you have to make them for specific regions? Like, if we were making a national candidate, or would you base it more on counties? Say if it was a state candidate, and be like, well, Putnam County really loves this man, but Faulkner County, so we better bring down the opponent.
Again, it all points back to polling, which is sort of the first step when you're working with the campaign, and where a lot of the money actually goes to, and is like, what is their name ID recognition in this county? What do people think about them? And what do people in this county really care about? Or what do people in this like region of the state really care about? And then you kind of like tailor your ads and you sell to those specific markets. And because the markets can be like really kind of granular, and you're like selling a video just for like this area. And then you have like a different video, a different ending for this county. You drive an hour, and suddenly you have like a different ad that you're seeing on broadcast.
Okay.
And actually, to your point, you brought up sort of like, oh, how are we adapting to Gen Z viewers and TikTok? The answer is we're not. The majority of voters are still watching broadcast primarily. They're still older suburbanites. And there are people, for my entire time in the industry, there are people who are completely unlike myself, who care about things that I have no recollection of, who spend all their time on Facebook and watch television. I don't own a television. I don't really spend any time on Facebook. So I'm always sort of making content that's like totally not what I would be like selling to myself, or not what I would be running across. And I never see the ads when they're made, because it's like not for me. So that's like even more reason to like rely on the polling, and to rely on the campaign, and rely on the data that's there. Because I can't just make something that like feels right to me. I have to make something that like fits the messaging and the target audience.
I wouldn't think that at all. I would think you'd be on TikTok taking advantage of
Right.
the like political trends that go on there. And
I mean, you can't do political ads on TikTok,
Oh, well,
so it has to be like
that's
organic
true.
growth
Well,
either way. But
and remember, there are plenty of people who are making political content.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we could talk to Victoria Hammett tomorrow, and she could tell us everything they are doing. But are those people voting? Is it people who are 18 to 24 to 18 to 35 who are really voting? And I think
Right.
that's really the problem here is, Jordan, we're making ads that are specifically for an older generation, aren't we?
because they're the ones voting. And like, I know Colorado's great. We have some of the highest voter turnout in the country, is part of because of the ease of voting and how much get out the vote stuff we have, and auto registration for eligible voters when they turn of age, and mail-in voting and all of that. But still, even though we're like hopeful about this and more younger people are voting, the primary, the swing voters and the people who are like changing elections is still that like older, watching TV, upper middle class suburban crowd. So that's the most bang for your buck, baby.
game time.
Politics is a tough pill to swallow, but you know what's not a tough pill to swallow? Action movies starring Harrison Ford. So that's why we're talking about today's movie.
My favorite politician.
Me too. Honestly, if you watch Air Force One as many times as I have, you might have trouble imagining where Harrison Ford was not the president.
Yeah.
Because he's such a cool one. His name is President James Marshall, and he goes to Russia, and he's like, we're going to be buddies now, but we're also going to punish terrorists. And then Gary Oldman, hijacks Air Force One. Oh no, who's gonna solve the problem? The president.
Yeah, of all people. I imagine you have on the back of your vehicle a bumper sticker that says like Harrison Ford is my president.
Actually,
You should.
Actually, it
You
says
should.
Jed Bartlett for America. But Question 1. So initially, director Wolfgang Peterson was denied access to the real life Air Force One. He really wanted to get the sense of it. He wanted to make sure his team could make a effective copy of Air Force One. Obviously, no one would let him do that. But what changed that? What changed it so he could? Was it A, Gary Oldman performed at the White House for President Clinton for the express purpose? Was it B, a mysterious donation was made? C, Harrison Ford called personally to the White House? D, vice president in the movie, who is played by Glenn Close called her friend Laura Dern.
Laura Dern question. I listened to enough of your episodes to understand that Laura Dern is the perpetual part of the quizzes here.
Well, she's my perpetual crush. So
That's fair. Valid point.
so what do you think it is, Jordan?
I feel like I'm just gonna say what I want it to be. Is that Harrison Ford called the White House and like begged them to let them do this. That gives like a whole new meaning to like your like PR interviews that you have to do for your film, you know.
Well, I think that Harrison Ford is adored by President Clinton because that was indeed the case. Harrison Ford called the White House and be like, I really need Wolfgang to be able to go on Air Force One.
This must have been before the military was like essentially bankrolling lots of films as like a thinly veiled recruiting tool.
Harrison Ford was not the first choice to play the president, even though he's the perfect movie president.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if he wasn't going to play the president, who would? Here are your 4 options. Was it A,
Laura Dern.
I was waiting for you. No, Laura Dern is always D, so you have to wait.
Got it.
So
The Dern,
D
you
for
know?
Dern.
Dern,
D for Dern.
Was it A, Kevin Spacey? Was it B, Kevin Costner? Was it C, Glenn Close, and she got demoted to vice president? Or was it D, indeed, Laura Dern?
Yeah, one of these days the answer will be Laura Dern.
One of them. I look forward to that day because I did my research on her.
I have to say, just from like House of Cards fame, and before we all realized he was a creep, but back when he seemed like on-screen presidential material, I feel like it could have been Spacey.
Is that your final answer?
I don't know. You give me the eyes like it shouldn't be. Costner was one of the answers.
Yes, Costner was one of the answers.
Mathematics says if we get a second chance, pick the other door to increase our total probability of success. So I'm gonna go with Costner now.
And you'd be correct.
Jordan,
Yes.
math wins again.
Math always
So-
wins.
Jordan, congratulations. You are correct. Kevin Costner denied the role so he could do the movie The Postman.
Come on, man.
So, but I mean, come on. I mean, we got the perfect movie at it. So, you know, The Postman. Thank you, Kevin Costner, for making that so we could have Harrison Ford as the president. Very cool.
I guess thank you for letting the true president step in. Harrison Ford.
Thank you for declining to run. So to say.
Stepping down with dignity.
So we have one last question for you. However, you have to get this one right. This is your double jeopardy.
Uh-oh.
Remember, you have to maintain 100% approval rating to stay on this program, or me and Julia are going to make our own political ad against you in the
Please.
second portion of this.
We got 3 people here. I can split the vote. The most I need is 31% approval to win the office. Thank you very much.
No, that's to
So
maintain your
yourself.
base.
Maintain the base. Yeah, we're
Come on.
activating the base.
Yeah.
I have a mandate from the people.
Gary Oldman had a nickname on set because his performance was so intense that they gave him this nickname. Was it A, Spooky Gary? Was it B, Scary Gary? Was it C, No Russia Gary?
Spooky Gary sounds like the name Hunter gave him.
Yes, it does. And I think we should just add another $1 to the jar.
Yeah,
Just
$1 at the jar.
because we're in
No, we're not
production.
on set.
We're not on set. So if I say spooky, I can say spooky freely without having to donate to charity. Though I
Yeah.
will happily donate to charity every time I say spooky. And we'll have to establish that as a rule. If I say spooky, I do have to donate to charity. That's been an established rule on set, because if I don't, I do this little thing where I have the fake cigarette and I go, "That was real spooky, kid." Anyway, so that's why I have to give $1 in the jar. Also, when I curse a lot on set.
Yes, you do.
Fair
Even
enough.
with kids around.
No, I don't, because I have to put $1 in the jar. There's a financial incentive for me not to. Anyway,
So
Jordan.
anyways, enough about Homecoming.
I think honestly, like having been on enough sets, the like collective hallucination fever dream where like the dumbest things become funny because everyone's like sleepless and whatever. It just feels like Scary Gary would be totally the thing people would say on set, and they'd be like, here comes Scary Gary. That just feels like a set thing.
Yeah.
Well,
it does.
Jordan, you've done what no other politician has managed to do. You have garnered 100% of approval. Congratulations, sir. You will be on your way to Air Force One right now. But until then,
Dictatorial numbers over here.
share a certain privilege of being
My
universally
spirit
approved.
animal.
Who is your spirit animal? All whites, well, Belarusian dictator Alexander Lukashenko. Anyway, so Jordan, you have a special list of love and hates, not just for political ads, but for Colorado film in general. So we want to get to talking about the Colorado film industry and how people can get more involved. Tell us first about your
Ooh.
love and hates.
Yeah, okay. So a teeny tiny bit of context. I work on like a lot of different short films when I'm not doing political ads. So I like DP on a lot of films. I like edit a lot of films. So I'm like, I think super involved in the local film scene, like the 48 coming up. And like one of the biggest takeaways I have
No, you're just being very humble,
Oh,
Jordan.
thanks,
You
thanks.
literally have this pool of people who would suggest you for anything. But anyways,
The industry, every time I discover someone, the industry, just the local industry, feels 10 times larger than I thought it was. It's like people I've never interacted with who are so connected. But in my little corner of the Colorado film industry, my big takeaway is like I'm so kind of like tired of hearing people. This is like maybe an unpopular opinion, but I'm so tired of people sort of like their first film ever, maybe their first film coming out of high school, their first film in film school or coming out of college, and they're like, this is my magnum opus. This is the thing that's gonna launch me to Hollywood. We're gonna make $1 million out of this. This is the thing. And I'm like, don't go into your film with that perspective. Don't, because you're gonna be disappointed, and because you're not focused on the filmmaking or like learning more things. You're focused on like this being like the greatest, as if you have a $200 million budget and you don't. And don't expand it either. If you're gonna don't do like 10 seasons of television on no budget, because you're gonna burn people out. My biggest, this is what I tell people: whatever film you're working on, if it's no budget, if it's low budget, if you don't have full financiers, that means it's practice, it's a portfolio item, and it's your calling card for your next project. So do the best you can, and that will get you something bigger where you can correct for your mistakes and do something cooler.
right.
So that's one thing that we are really excited to talk to you about, Jordan, because not only are you a person with much more experience than you'd give yourself credit for, and you could probably get yourself a $200 million budget if you really tried hard enough, because people
Terrifying.
would trust you with that kind of money. I would trust you with the world. But that's because you've been my DP for me and Julia's feature that we've been working on, Homecoming. And what's been amazing working with you is we take this no budget, we have like zero money, and this is a movie that's not we're not expecting to take us to Hollywood, but we have different goals than going to Hollywood. We want to build Colorado film.
Yeah.
Right.
And you have proven that you can take a no budget and you can add experience and creativity and creative solutions and thinking outside the box and make it the kind of film that looks and feels like a real Hollywood movie.
I feel like I developed as a skill just because so many people had no budget and oftentimes no plan and a very tight schedule. I became like my specialty as a DP is being able to do coverage very quickly and to like shoot out 10 pages in a day and have it usable in editing. So that's like I don't know if I like that being my specialty, but I've certainly like grown into it.
Well, it seems to work with the whole political thing, having to shoot an ad
Yes,
in like 10
absolutely.
minutes and then make it. We have to get this has to be in Cincinnati in 30 minutes.
I've definitely logged in the morning with my cup of coffee at work on Slack and been given an hour's deadline for a project that I haven't looked at yet. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Well,
Built for it.
I do like what you said about like being okay with it not being a Hollywood film and everything, because I'm a perfectionist and I'm over here on
Yeah.
Homecoming like, we're gonna make it big, you know. But it is one thing I'm learning, that you don't have to, because the practice and the experience and everything, kind of like the 48-hour film fest, which we talked to Manuel and Isla, sorry, Isla, is like, it's really just for the experience to learn and then to like network too and get to know your crew. And one thing I really like about having you on set, and this is just because I love you, Jordan, is you have such a great attitude and you still take everything you do with like seriousness, like regardless of how fun we have on set and how it really just feels like we're hanging out and exhausting each other for no reason.
Definitely exhausting.
Definitely exhausting.
Hanging out,
But like when you're filming, you and Kobe work really well together in the fact that you're trying to get the best coverage every single time you film, and I really appreciate that.
We'll be unstoppable.
We'll be unstoppable. All right, well, Jordan, we've seen you in some situations being on set, that are not most comfortable. But what I want to do is I want to make you uncomfortable on our show with a fun little game that I've actually played before with Jam and Dead, where you name the first thing that comes to your mind when I say something.
Okay.
But
It's like Wordle.
it is. Yeah, no, and it's really fun. But the challenge is you have to balance this on your head.
Okay. All right, let's do it.
Okay.
I'm
Alright.
for.
I don't
I'm
know
there
what the
for it.
theme of it. Luckily, I have a lot of hair. I can just sort of balance it in the hair.
I know it's like
There
a
we go.
nest. Oh, that's so beautiful.
Well, I mean, a
love
little
that.
known fact about Jordan is that he has a couple birds.
Yes.
So this is perfect.
It is.
Yeah.
He's used to having a little bird
Birds,
cage on his
yeah.
head.
Perfect.
It's like fitting to have tissues on my head because sometimes the birds are pooping on you. They land on you. There's
and
no
then they
telling.
just land on the tissue.
Sorry, TMI. Anyway,
Weird fact about birds. I'm just gonna say that. All right.
They do poop. They are birds.
Well, they are
poop
creatures.
every 15 minutes.
And little do we
Set
know,
your
we're just
clock to it.
delaying this so that way he has to hold it on his head longer than necessary. Washing.
Ton.
Yeah.
Ton. Okay. Mike.
Lebowski.
Green.
Mile.
Yellow.
Line.
Eyeball.
Clockwork Orange.
Oh,
Ooh,
interesting.
very good one.
Very interesting. I like that. Pattern.
Doodling.
You know, you see how I'm like taking my time this one?
Oh, I know. This
Isn't
is
this great?
it's tension building.
It
Trying to
is.
it's jittering on top
Oh.
of his head, which is stressing me out.
I love it. Lips.
I'm picturing the poster for Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I really
yeah.
like that.
I'm
Yeah.
in a very film mindset.
At the
today.
creature picture show. Yeah.
Okay, and then heels. His lip. I wish I could just zoom in on his lip, like shaking right now.
Heels. Heelys. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, I would have also just gone with Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, that's too easy.
Well,
Yeah.
you
I
said
was,
that.
no, what I was picturing was specifically Heelys inside of what's that conservative craft store called?
Hobby
Hobby
Lobby.
Lobby. I used to Heely and Hobby Lobby, and then I used to ride my Heelys through Hobby Lobby.
Really?
So much fun.
Wow.
Yeah, they have great like the tile linoleum all the way through the place. You can really glide.
So that's why you thought of Hobby. You know, it would have been great
Yeah.
if you said Hobby Lobby,
I
because we'd
could've
be
just
like,
said Hobby
what?
Lobby.
And then,
I
well,
couldn't
it
remember
was
the
still a
name
good
for it.
response. Still,
Thank you.
yes, and a great story.
I mean, we need the Heelys connection here. We can't go from heels Hobby Lobby.
Yeah,
That's-
yeah.
They're
yeah.
not even.
that's
they're-
the point.
Yeah, but it's not. But he had Heelys there, so phonetically, if like my mind would have been blown if he went from like from heels Hobby Lobby. I
Yeah.
was like, they don't sell
They're
those
like,
there.
what?
You
No.
don't sell those there.
What kind of
What
shoe
is this, a
shopping are you
crafting
doing?
Project? No.
You're bedazzling your own Rocky
Yeah.
Horror Halloween costume. Actually,
You
you're
just wait, Hunter.
you're actually a dead ringer for Tim Curry.
Megan tells me that all the time. She's
Oh,
like,
I
"You
bet
gotta
she
go
does, big
Frank
boy.
Curry."
So, Jordan, is there anything that you want to say to everyone in Colorado right now?
Topic of local film. I've been thinking about this, and this is something I've been like very interested in. There are things you can do that don't require you moving to Hollywood, moving to New York. And one of the big ones is writing compelling stories and stories that people haven't heard before. And so many people in LA are writing stories about their neighborhood in LA, and people are sick of it. But like Colorado is a place that you can write for and around, and our perspective is unique. And I've been like so big into like writing features with my buddies, and that's something that you can like make here. And so I was too passionate about it. So yeah, I don't know. That's like not thematically related to anything we've been talking about, except that most of the features I've been writing have been political thrillers for some reason. But yeah, that's the thing. That's like, I mean, like, what's his name? Kurosawa said, if you don't have any money to make a film, you can always write. You can afford a pencil and a sheet of paper.
I like that.
Yeah, he did say that. If you read his book, something like a biography, he says that if you write 3 pages a day in a month, you will have a 100-page script.
Yeah. A first draft, at least.
At least. And this is Kurosawa, so he went for many, many drafts.
Yes.
Absolutely.
But he also made many, many movies. So here's
Yeah.
the hoping, right?
Well, Jordan, this has been an honor to have you on the show. We've literally been trying to get him on the show for like weeks, months.
Months.
So we finally got him. And while you're here, tell them where to follow up on you, what to check out, and how they can support you.
Oh, don't support me. Support local film in Colorado. How to follow up with me? Follow my Instagram, which is Jordon_Spalding_._com, and my website, as you may have guessed, it's JordonSpalding.com. That hasn't been updated in a long time. But yeah, I'm always posting interesting things. Weirdly, if you go to my Instagram, it's mostly like VFX tests. So like,
Yeah.
we didn't talk about that, but
Well,
that's
and
on
you have
Instagram.
like really cool memes that you post to
I
your
do have
story
great
all the
memes.
time.
Yeah,
Talk
quality
about
memes.
an edge meme lord.
Just amazing memes.
Good
Gotta love
if
them.
you didn't get enough political stuff out of this, if you need more political memes, my story, that's where it's at.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you guys so much for joining us in this conversation. I hope we didn't bore you or excite you. If we excited you, that'd be great with the politics stuff. But if you want to follow up on us, you can subscribe to our channel, follow us on Filmhound. We have lots of amazing things coming. And whatever you're doing, stop freaking doing it and watch locally produced film.
Unless one caveat, this is one time we'll make a caveat. Unless you are currently voting.
Oh,
If
yes.
you're doing that,
Yeah.
Go
please
vote.
Also vote.
finish your ballot and then turn it in and then stop and watch some locally support film.
There we go.
And remember, everyone, if you are in Washington, D.C., or if you are in Denver, or if you're in Pueblo, stay creative, Colorado.